That was a good one.
Wow.
That was a great crack.
We need some like ASMR of that.
True. I don't think the blue snowball is the way to go for that, but yeah, that is that was undeniably a great crack.
Podcast. This is ASMR.
I hate everything. Welcome back to the Packy Run podcast, ladies and gentlemen, Sheila's blokes.
What up?
People
what up?
who don't identify. We are. This is a new one. We're doing a little bit of a new format, and we're recording midday, which is
something we never
do. A little bit weird. Yeah, this never happens.
We usually do in the evening hours. Yeah, it's a different feel. This episode, we're talking about Patriots home opener, and also we're talking about the Menzingers album, The Impossible Past. But
True.
But before we do that, as we do every single episode, we discuss what we are drinking for our beverage, because this is the Packy Run. For you, it's 2:30.
It is the Packy Run. It's 2:30 in the afternoon right now.
For me, it's 3:30.
I'm about to crack open the last Gansett from the 6-pack that I started during last week's episode. So that's my that's my beverage again this week. And so you've kept me in suspense now for like 15 minutes. What's your beverage of choice?
Okay,
for this midday recording session.
So I am not drinking beer. Instead, I am drinking coffee. Kind of like a normal person.
True. I know where this is going.
The only difference is I actually roasted my own coffee beans. And this is my second time roasting. First one didn't turn out well because I just don't think I think I added too much to my roasting device and it just didn't have an even roast and I didn't do it long enough. This one came out perfect.
That's real.
And you're probably thinking at home, like, wow, roasting coffee, isn't that like, how do you even do that? So the way that you do that is you need green coffee beans, and you can buy them on the internet. They're pretty cheap. I bought, actually, there's a great website called Sweet Maria's, and they sell green coffee beans, but they also sell a roaster that you can buy with it. The roasting device that I have is actually an old school popcorn maker. You can buy it for $20, and also as an add-on, you can add 4 pounds of unroasted coffee beans with it. So I would suggest you are interested in learning how to home brew or home roast some coffee. That's your best bet. $20 is not that bad to start getting into it. They also post a lot of really good tutorial videos to go with it and how to go about it. So
I'd be really interested in doing that and making my own espresso beans.
That'd be interesting. So drinking coffee, I did this pour over style. I have a scale, so I weighed like how much coffee beans I needed, and like I did I have like a 20-minute coffee routine now. You don't understand.
Yeah, that makes a good cup of coffee. And when you're doing the whole thing, like soup to nuts, that's pretty sick.
Yeah, so it's very fulfilling to do.
It's like the new is that now that we're in this late stage, or not, we're not even sure if it's late, but we're in this new stage of COVID. Everybody was making bread at the beginning. Everybody should start roasting their own coffee at this point.
Enough of my coffee talk. Let's talk about Patriots this past Sunday. Cam Newton's first look in a Patriots uniform.
Good game. Good game.
Yeah.
It was, did you get to watch it live?
I watched it live. My stream kept cutting in and out, like, for whatever, like, those, like, illegal stream sites are, like, they're always sometimes the worst.
Yeah, it depends on which ones you're using, and none of the ones that I normally use were available.
Well,
So
they shut down NFL Streams Reddit.
I know.
Like that was like the first thing that popped up. I was like, damn it. Then I almost considered like getting YouTube TV. Like, but I was like, I shouldn't. Like $60 a month. That is a lot of money for one just to watch like live football.
Yeah, it's not worth it.
Yeah, that was. I was like, no, I can't. I shouldn't.
Yep. It's not happening.
I can't.
But no, it was a good team win. I mean, Cam just looked good. He looked healthy. He was making plays. Obviously, you didn't see any real long balls or anything, but when he threw it, he looked pretty good. Julian Edelman was a workhorse, which was kind of nice to see him still, doing what Jules does.
Yeah.
And then
he dropped a few passes from what I remember, but it's also the beginning of the year, and we also have to.
And when you're the main target,
we also have to cut everyone a little bit of slack because there's no preseason. This is like the first action of like real football.
Yeah.
So like there was like a couple mistakes here and there. Like I remember there was like that fumble that they almost lost on that punt return to kill Harry with his fumble and touchback.
And the only real slip up on Cam's part was a literal slip. Did you see him just like he went running off to his right and then went to turn around over his left shoulder and just fell flat on his ass of his own accord?
I did see that. There were some moments when he was doing like the read option and you can tell they were a little off sync. There was some points in the game that like, it's like, okay, you can definitely tell he's kind of new.
Yep.
He's the new guy.
Yeah, but he looked, on the whole, he looked really good. It's hard to tell because on the one hand, we were pretty dominant for the entire game. On the other hand, we were playing the Dolphins.
We were playing the Dolphins. Next week is going to be a challenge facing the Seahawks.
Next week is going to be big. That's going to be a really big barometer of like where this team actually is in terms of like professional football. Because, Russell Wilson and Pete Carroll's Seahawks are not to be fucked around with.
They're a good team. They're very solid. I thought like Cam Newton, it was like the moment he scored the first touchdown, I was like losing myself because I was just like, oh my God, that would never happen with Tom Brady. Like we're used to Tom Brady running in for touchdowns, for example, but it's always like the QB sneaks.
Yeah.
Or
like his first, and that was his first touchdown in a Buccaneers uniform was that exact thing where his quote unquote rush was a yard, 2.
It's pretty much something any of us could do.
Yeah, he has the right coverage and he just pokes his way through.
And love Tom Brady, but like it's the most non-athletic play
every
single time. You just have to lean forward.
Anytime
and get like a push.
And anytime he runs, he just looks like a gazelle out there. And it's like, man, like I don't know what his top speed or anything is, but like I'm not a super athletic guy, and even I would just like visually look better running a football than Tom Brady does.
Yeah. One of the things I loved, and I read like an article after the game, the second touchdown Cam rushed for, he gave the ball to David Andrews, and David Andrews like spiked it.
Yeah.
And somebody was like, oh, why'd you give the ball to David Andrews, like celebrate? And he was like, he's in the same position as me. Like they're both coming back from like major injuries, trying to come back, and like they're kind of in the same. And so like I thought that was like a really cool thing. And a really cool team building moment right there.
Especially after like 2 to 3 years of Boston sports media just constantly being like, is this the end? Is this the end of the Brady-Belichick dynasty? What's going to happen? What's Tom Brady feeling? What's Tom Brady thinking? He yelled at Josh McDaniels. And like, it was all Tom Brady all the time.
Yeah.
And for us now to get to the point where it's like, no, this is like, it really feels like, obviously Cam Newton's a star. He's like the big kind of unknown factor in our offense and everything else. but it feels like a team. And it was also really cool watching the stream. They were pumping in like artificial crowd noise, but
we were wrong about our
crews
prediction there with the no Bon Jovi and no like thunder.
I know.
No music being played. We were wrong about that prediction.
It's unacceptable. But it was cool. It was cool without all the actual crowd noise and without the music and everything else. Every time the cameras were actually on the players, like you could hear them. So it was really cool to hear like Cam laughing when he got it. Like he got that second touchdown and he was clearly stoked. And then he not only could you see him like gesticulating and being like, go ahead, spike it. But you could literally hear him saying that to David Andrews. Like, yeah, spike it, do it. It's yours.
That's one of the coolest things to me, or one of my favorite moments from that game, particularly.
So yeah, I think that exhausts week 1 in the NFL. I'm glad to have games back. I had a lot of fun watching the Patriots this week. I'm stoked.
Yeah, it's good to have football back. We'll see how this season goes. Hopefully it continues. Hopefully the beer virus doesn't strike. And I hope Tom Brady does well because he's one of my favorite players of all time, but also he's on my fantasy football team. So for my sake and for my... Just so I can win some money, I hope he does well.
I respect that. I respect the hustle.
Yeah, gotta make my $50 back somehow.
Hopefully.
Well, hopefully I triple it or whatever.
And if you don't, at least you can sell some coffee.
Yeah, I could sell coffee. I could sell my baseball cards or whatever else that I have that I've gotten into this quarantine.
True. All right. So moving on from the NFL and the sports talk, we are also a music podcast, and we had this idea a while ago, and we're finally going to act on it. We want to ask the question, does it hold up? I'm sure that we'll do more than a few albums. This week, we're doing On the Impossible Past, which is the 3rd studio album by the American punk rock band, the Menzingers.
From Scranton,
Pennsylvania. Was released 8 years ago in February.
Yes. Put out by Epitaph Records.
Yeah. And according to Metacritic, which I only ever see Metacritic pop up as a reference on Wikipedia articles. I've never actually been to the site, and I don't think I want to.
Did you look at the Wikipedia article too?
Yeah. Yeah.
I literally have that in my notes.
Yup. But it's got an average score of 93 out of 100, which is, I'd say, pretty insane for like us, especially at the time when this came out. They were like a scrappy DIY punk band.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure this was their first release for Epitaph too. So
I think so. This was produced by Matt Allison, who also did albums for Lawrence Arms, Echoline Trio, Less Than Jake, and also helped produce Chamberlain Waits, which was the album previously that they released,
which just got a 10-year repress for the Record Store Day. People did a really cool kind of quarantine version of Record Store Day. Mm-hmm. So they kind of spread out the releases a little bit more over the course of the year and made it a little bit of an event for, trying to spread it out so certain releases come out at a certain time. So not everybody is gathering at their local record store and, waiting in lines and hunting things down the way that they would for normal record store days.
That makes sense. I mean, is it so they repressed this album?
Not On the Impossible Past. They repressed Chamberlain Waits because it was the 10-year anniversary of that album.
Got it. That makes sense.
But 2 years from now, if they do something to celebrate 10 years of On the Impossible Past, there's a 10... I'm not sure... I don't really buy into the whole 10-year tour kind of thing. The big nostalgia tours they always kind of just strike me as money grabs. But for this album, I would not be mad about it. I think it would be I think it would be justified, because this is still for most people like the high watermark of the Menzingers catalog.
Yeah, I mean, I was reading a Vice article about the Menzingers. This was when they put out their 2017 record, After the Party. And one of the things that it was saying in the article was how basically like this is On the Impossible Pass is like their best record yet, but like it still didn't capture every single person still.
And I think that is kind of a symptom of the fact that they were not like the Menzingers in the year 2020 are not the same Menzingers that released this album in 2012. Like now they're pretty big. They're touring in buses. They have like, as
they're
far as like the greater
band.
They're very well established, but they're like it's a cult following, which is to be expected from like a band signed to Epitaph that, you know, does their style of music in this day and age. Like, of course they are a cult following band, but they've got a solid following. And I think a lot of that came as a result of this album.
Absolutely. It's a good foundation. And I mean, looking at the accolades for this record, I mean, Absolute Punk, their staff in 2020 or 2012, it is 2020. This has been released in 2012. Number one rank, Frontier Psychiatrist, top 50 albums of 2012, 26th. Best Under the Radar releases from Metacritic. This came in number 2. Punk News, that was number 1. Spotnik Music, 25. There's a couple other ones. Rock Sound, this was like the best rock album of that year. Krang, is that how you pronounce it? Krang? They're like that.
Kerrang, yeah.
This was number 13 for like the top 101 albums of the year. So like it has some good accolades that go with it. It was a very highly rated album of that year.
And really rightly so. This was the first time. So there's a lot of like, in a lot of reviews and people that have interviewed the band and stuff like that, there's a lot of references to like, oh, you guys are like the punk rock Bruce Springsteen band. And this is the first album where that really is like that kind of comparison absolutely holds up, because I think the big thing with this album is lyrical content. Because from a production side of things, it's gritty, it's very it's well done, but it sounds like it was recorded in 2011.
I was one of the things that I like was listening to this a couple times today, and one of my biggest takeaways from listening is it could really use a remaster.
Yeah.
There are some parts in this record where, especially the bass is very hidden. It's not detectable at all. Sometimes like the guitars, when the vocals are playing at the same time, the guitars are just not quite there. Like I don't know how to describe it. I'm not a sound engineer, but you are, and I don't know if you can speak to that and like agree with my like kind of assessment there.
Yeah, it's On the Impossible Past from like an engineering standpoint is like the best case scenario for a more DIY leaning recording. Like I'm sure that I know that they were in a professional studio when they were recording this with Matt Allison. I know that they were using professional gear and stuff like that.
Absolutely, probably.
But it's a punk band in a professional recording studio with like surrounded by DIY guys and just trying to put together like the best possible songs that they can. So there's a lot of kind of inconsistencies with the mixing. There are parts where, the guitars are drowning out other instruments. The drums don't always sound, it's not a commercially produced record.
Absolutely not.
In the way that you would expect from.
It's not a Green Day album, for sure.
Yeah, it's not a Green Day album. It's not, which is awesome, but it's part of the reason why it's like such a cult classic as opposed to just a stone cold, like everybody knows and everybody loves this record. Like, do I see any of the singles from this album being played on like classic rock radio ever? Probably not. But like, it's the best case scenario for a DIY leaning band where it's like there's a lot of great production value, but it's just inconsistent throughout the entire thing, which welcome to being a punk rock band.
Yeah.
In the 2000s. Like guitar based music is not in the zeitgeist and stuff. There aren't $1 million recording budgets to have perfect mixes and perfect masters and everything else. So the criticisms of like a production side of this album are perfectly, like, that's perfectly fine.
Right.
And a lot of them are really well placed criticisms, but it's also, what do you want?
Right. And I mean, like, I was trying to, because I was trying to look at this album as objectively as I can, because I do love this record. It's one of my favorite records. But I was like, what are some of the criticism that I have for it? And that I think it could really use a remaster. That is like my one, I'm like, this needs to be like, some things just need to be tweaked here and there. And then I would probably get it on vinyl.
Yeah. Well, and it is one of the cool things is that, like, it's the way that it is right now, the way that the album exists, made for vinyl. It's got those nice little dynamics. It's, it's not slammed the entire time. When you listen to it, if you like cherry pick songs and put them in playlists and stuff like that, like, it's going to be it really doesn't matter what songs you put on either end of, like, let's just say you picked out Burn After Writing.
Yeah.
And put that in a playlist. When Burn After Writing comes after a certain song, or a certain song comes after Burn After Writing, you're going to know, like, there's going to be a very distinct shift between those other songs, which is part of what endears it to so many people, is that it sounds, you hear one of these songs and immediately you're like, yep, this is on the Impossible Past. But yeah, in a modern context and stuff like that, I don't think you're wrong. I think yeah, a little remix remaster might go a long way towards kind of reintroducing some people to this album.
Yes. One of my other big takeaways from this album is I think the reason why this album is so good, it's not just lyrically why it's good. I think lyrically has been already, like, it's overstated. Everyone, like, says it in every single review. Every fan says that in every single review, or like every assessment of this record. I think why this record is so good is how they structure their songs. And the way that they structure their songs is very similar to how a pop artist structures their music. And I don't know if you would, like,
yeah.
I think that, like, just based on some of the songs, for example, very repetitive chorus that you can sing along to, that is very much like any other, like, pop song from today or from the past. I mean, like, pop songs are always going to be like a very repetitive, kind of stuck in your head, like, you kind of hum along to it, you get the melody stuck in your head. They write like a pop star, or someone who writes pop music. I mean, and they are a pop punk band. Yeah,
they have that, like, you mentioned it earlier. Like, they do have a couple of similarities with, like, a Green Day kind of thing where, yeah, they're writing pop songs. I think in some cases they really do hit that mark of, like, pop song structure, but then there are other times, like, say, like Mexican Guitars or Ava House, where, right. And the band has said this in interviews and stuff like that, where, like, this was before they really honed in on that pop songwriting kind of thing, because you got a lot more of that on the next album that they put out in 2014, Rented World, or on the next album after that, After the Party, their latest album, Hello Exile. Like, there's a lot of really, truly, like, verse, chorus, bridge, chorus, end. Like, that's really when they kind of perfected that pop songwriting ability as far as the band is concerned. Whereas on The Impossible Past, Chamberlain Waits, what was the album before Chamberlain Waits? A Lesson in the Abuse of Information Technology, which reads like a fucking Fall Out Boy song.
Yeah, that does.
They like on these earlier albums, there are some songs where it's they call it a full song, but it's really just kind of like an idea.
Yeah.
Like, it's not quite finished. It's just, they created a whole 2.5, 3 minute song based on an idea rather than, writing a full kind of song. I think a really good example of that kind of thing is the song Casey.
Yeah, I was just thinking about that.
Which is one of the best songs on the record by far, but it's also very apparent. And once you, the band have talked about it in a couple of interviews and stuff like that, but it's very apparent once you actually know what's going on. The chorus was actually written by one of their friends, and it was just an acoustic song that their friend would play that he had wrote, and they used a part of that song as the chorus for Casey. And that, once you hear them say that, it becomes very apparent when you're listening to the song that you're like, oh, this is the rest of this song was basically built around this idea for the chorus. Like, it doesn't feel like one cohesive thing. You can very much tell. And it's cool because they do kind of play with the method of songwriting a little bit. There's a verse, and then there's a second verse before they get to the chorus.
Right.
And then after the first chorus, it's right into a bridge and then the final chorus. But you can tell that, they had a couple of other ideas kind of sitting around. And then once they figured out that they could use their friend's song for the chorus, like, that's when it kind of came together. So it feels a little bit more pieced together than a full, like the song After the Party off of the album After the Party.
Right.
That's a coherent front to back. That is the idea for the song, as opposed to some of the songs on this album where you do kind of get that feeling of like, oh, they introduced this piece here or they tweaked this thing, and you can kind of hear the individual ideas as opposed to one uniform song, I guess.
Okay. I would agree with that. Let's go into the track listing for this album, because we mentioned some of these names, but there's 13 songs on this record, starting off with Good Things. As an opener, they kill it with openers as far as their albums go.
They really do.
They have they always have a good opener. They really know how to start an album. I'm sorry.
And I think this is a great, I think it really speaks to how good this is as an album opener, considering the fact that they use this song to open their sets a lot. And I mean, it's pretty simple. So many, the big sing-along part for everybody is just repeating the words, "Why all good things should fall apart."
Which is, again, like what I mentioned earlier, very pop.
Very pop. But it's a big, and it's cool that they restrain themselves, because it would have been really easy for any other band to write this. If they wrote this exact song, there would just be gang vocals when they repeat "Why all good things should fall apart," or at the end when they say "So all good things should fall apart."
Right.
It would be really easy to just do that with gang vocals, and instead it's just Greg Barnett's voice.
Yeah, and it's very shouty, very loud, very in your face. It's very easy to sing along to. It's not. There's nothing worse than sing along parts that are hard to follow, but just one line, "Why do all good things just fall apart?" Boom. That's the line right there.
And the way that it's very simple. The first verse is just, I've been having a horrible time pulling myself together. Been closing my eyes to find the old familiar failures. And then the end of that verse and the entirety of the second verse is just, I've been having a horrible time pulling myself together. And then the third verse, it's really only just 3 parts in the song. The last part is actually it's not a callback because it's the opening, but it's almost a little bit of a preview of what's to come in the album, where it's when we would take rides in your American muscle car, I felt American for once in my life. I never felt it again.
Yeah.
Calling ahead, there's more things down the road here. It's a really great way to just introduce, they've got great songwriting chops, they've got great melodies, but it's, they're kind of pulling the punch a little bit. It doesn't just hop right in and get to the wordy storytelling kind of thing.
It's like dipping your toe in like the pool before you like just like cannonball yourself into this record.
Exactly. It's a really great way to just kind of be like, here's a little bit of what we're capable of doing, but like,
keep listening.
You really want to, yeah, you really want to, it's built for a live audience. It's really just that, like, you're going to watch all the kids that know just screaming along to these like 2 or 3 parts in the song. And like, it's really just going to kind of just rope you in a little bit, bring you into it a little bit. And then it all just kind of, then they really just kind of throw you straight into the pool with Burn After Writing, which is, I think, probably my favorite song that the band has ever written.
Okay.
It's really, like, from an instrumental standpoint, it's really smartly played. It's really just it's got a couple of really great guitar little riffs in it. It's got one little solo-y part that's very Nirvana in the way that the quote-unquote solo is basically just one of the vocal melodies.
They have a lot of that in this album. Personally, I think those solos are a little cheesy for me, but sometimes they work.
And it's like, yeah, it's been done before. Like, they're not kind of breaking the mold or whatever. But this is one of the big Menzingers songs where it's like, if you look into the lyrics and if it hits you at like the right time in your life, you're hooked. You're done.
Yeah.
And
I like the transition. Oh, sorry.
I was just gonna say, like, you start getting a little bit of like literary references and stuff like that. Like, it's not just another punk band releasing a punk album on Epitaph. It's like really smart, like little references to like old Russian authors and stuff like that, while also just kind of doing that Bruce Springsteen thing where you're painting a picture of like, here's the setting, like I'm putting you into Scranton, Pennsylvania, like as a 20-something-year-old like street urchin punk dude that like fell in love with a girl. Like, it does a really good job of setting that kind of scene.
True, it does. And they do that throughout this record, especially the next song, which is Obituaries, where it's kind of paints that picture of living in kind of a dumpy town like Scranton. Never been there, but it paints that.
It's well known.
It paints that picture of being kind of like a dumpy area. One of the lines that really stuck with me is, maybe I'm not dying, I'm just living in decaying cities.
And that's kind of the thing that I think endears this song and this album to so many people, is that like, even just like the opening line, we stumbled and stared at the carnival lights that lit up New York City from a rooftop in Brooklyn that was covered in bad graffiti. Like, that's like, immediately you know exactly where kind of the narrator is.
Yeah.
But it does a really good job of just being like that. It doesn't have to be New York City. It doesn't have to be Brooklyn. It's that line about like decaying cities and stuff like that. Like, we spent 4 straight years in New Haven, Connecticut.
Yeah.
Definition of decaying cities.
They do that great, like, remember back in the day when you're in elementary school and you're just learning about English and your elementary school teacher is like teaching you about like similes or metaphors and like that kind of thing. Show, not tell. They do a really good job of showing it, not telling you straightforward what it is.
Yeah. They have that little bit of like poetry kind of thing going on,
which, I mean, you kind of need that when you're writing songs.
Yeah. But you need that in very specific ways where it can be left up to interpretation, and that's why people get so invested in it. Like, as soon as you're just spilling too much, that people stop caring because they know.
Yeah.
And as soon as it gets too hyper specific, if you do know exactly what's going on, like, that's cool. Like, we've both grown up in and around so many different bands, and it's a cliche in pop punk and punk music of like, I'm gonna list the street names, or
like this town sucks, and like,
but you make like specific references to specific things in your town or whatever. which is fine, and it's cool for the people that are in the know, but it's better to paint with a broad brush in those kind of things, which the Menzingers do really well. Where like, yeah, this could be hyper specific to Scranton or to Philadelphia or to New York City or Boston, wherever, but they're like, that's kind of the setting for the narrator themselves, but it's really easy to just like interpolate that as where you are.
They do the exact opposite of there was like this New England band or Massachusetts band called Transit, and they put out an album called Young New England. Which we might have to do an episode on that very record.
Oh, we can, yeah. That would be a good one.
Because there are a lot. I mean, it's cool if you're in the know, and you're cool if you're from New England and you're from the Massachusetts area. But ultimately, that record fell flat for a lot of Transit fans because why would someone in the middle of California, like San Francisco, California, care about New England, care about Maine summers, or like Lynn, the City of Sin? They don't get those references.
Yeah. No.
You wouldn't expect them to.
No. And that kind of theme also continues on in the next song on the album, Gates. During the first verse, talks about getting drunk around back of the Lions Club, waiting for the shitty bands to finish up. Like, it's like a VFW hall kind of cliche that you get from a lot of DIY punk bands and stuff that play at the Lions Club or the VFW or the Knights of Columbus.
Or like some church basement.
Exactly. But the way that it's presented is just like every kid that's ever been involved with alternative music knows, like, they don't know the specific scene that the narrator is painting. They have their own experience doing that same thing, and instead of conjuring up specific, like that specific Lions Club that he's referring to, you the listener start sitting back and going like, oh yeah, like watching the kids like sneak vodka into their vitamin water outside of the shitty bar or the Knights of Columbus Club, or whatever.
Which,
like,
we've all seen that.
We've all seen it and or been a part of it. It's punk rock music. It's how it goes.
Yeah, especially like it pretty much describes mid 2000s to like late like 2010s. Like I remember going to VFW shows and like hanging out. Like one of the first time we ever hung out, we went to a VFW hall show.
True. Weymouth Knights of Columbus.
Yeah, what a time.
That was a sick show. For what I was there for.
Yeah.
But yeah, so Gates does kind of the same thing, and then it moves on to Ava House, which is almost the exact opposite of what we've been talking about. Like, it's a song about a very specific punk house that they all used to play at, some of the members of the band lived in, and stuff like that.
I didn't know that. I didn't know that was what this song was about.
Yeah, the name of the place was Ava House, which is really which makes for a kind of cool dichotomy, because the first line is like, Ava, are you trying to get high? I hope the floor holds this time. We'll dance in subtle romance together while we're making our time. Like, so immediately anybody who doesn't know is going to sit there and be like, well, what's up with this Ava character?
Yeah.
And then it changes kind of your perspective on the album. Or not the album, but it changes your perspective on the song when you realize that it's more of like a rallying cry.
Yeah.
Which, again, just like it's speaking to a very specific kind of group of people that have like grown up going to house shows and spend their time like watching bands play in basements or in like shitty apartments and things like that. It's a rallying cry for people, which is really a kind of cool way. It's a cool kind of change to sit there, and because I remember first hearing this song and thinking, oh man, like we've got Ava, we've got Casey. Later on in the Menzingers discography, you have Anna, and so many other like female characters, and then you realize, oh, they're talking about a house here. Yeah,
which is like I like the repetitiveness of this song. I mean, it's you said it wasn't pop writing. I would disagree with it, with how it's like a little bit structured here.
Yeah, I think this one is a little bit less like, it starts off with the chorus like the lines I just read, like that's technically the chorus, but it's not quite as apparent, but it's got that really awesome, just like tribal driving drum beat, which is, man, what a great song.
Yeah.
There are so many of these songs on this album that have just become like staples of the band's live show too.
I haven't seen this band yet live. I've wanted to, but I'm sure they still play at Ava House.
They do, yeah. And people still go nuts for it because it's that big sing-alongy kind of chorus part.
It definitely is.
Oh my God, this is so cool. So I have the lyrics up on genius.com. It says, in a Reddit AMA, Tom May, one of the vocalists for the band, said that Ava is their good friend Danielle's dog. So the house venue was named after the dog that was at the house. And now I'm thinking about a couple of the houses that we used to go to in Connecticut, and I'm wondering why that one god-awful place wasn't called Ellie's house.
Your what?
I'm wondering why they didn't call... Do you remember that terrible, terrible house that we went to? We saw like some Screamo bands, and I think Mandels played an REM like Halloween set there. But they had a dog, and the dog's name was Ellie.
I do remember Ellie, and I do remember that house
they should
venue.
have called that place Ellie's house.
Was it called Ellie's house?
It should have been.
That would have been a sick name.
Yeah, I would have gone there more often.
That was a weird time that I'm not gonna... Mandels wasn't weird. Playing in Mandels wasn't weird, but that venue was pretty weird. But we're not going to get into that. We're still getting into the Menzingers here.
True. So after Ava House...
got Sun Hotel. One of my favorite lines from this record is, and I'm pretty sure this corner of the world is the loneliest corner in the whole world. Bars.
Yep. Bars. Maybe it's me or the bartender, this Budweiser, or the other customers. It's, oh man. Yeah, there's something, again, it's one of the cool things about this band is listening to them and going like, they're speaking and they're painting with a really broad brush, but like, you know exactly, the only reference to this being like the setting of this song being in a bar is that line, like maybe it's me or the bartender, this Budweiser, or the other customers. But like, yeah, even if you didn't necessarily hear that line, you know, just based on kind of the mood of the song and everything, it's like, yeah, this is a song that was written to transport you back to every fucking dive bar you've ever been to in your life.
Yeah, which, I mean, I love dive bars, but sometimes they are like the saddest place on the whole world. It
immediately conjures up that, like, anybody who's spent any time in dive bars knows the exact feeling of, like, you sit down on your shitty bar stool and you get your PBR or whatever the fuck you're drinking that night, and, like, they put it down and the bar is never dry.
Yeah.
It's always just a little bit wet.
And sticky.
And like, yeah, and the gloss is never quite laid down totally evenly and stuff. Like, there's something about listening to Sun Hotel where you, like, there's something about the way that song is written and played where you get right back to, like, whatever dive bar you've been to.
Yeah, and like the floor is like nice and sticky with like.
Yeah. There's always a stray cigarette butt somewhere, even in the places where you can't smoke.
Yeah, always. Like, it doesn't matter. Even like Massachusetts or Brooklyn, like it's always like something in like the urinal.
Like a leaf blown in the wind.
Yeah.
Like, there's always just the one cigarette butt that has somehow managed to make its way in.
Somehow, some way.
Exactly. And that brings us to Vandals.
Sculptors and Vandals. Which I like the song. I thought the ending of the first verse was a little clumsy with how it was written lyrically.
Yeah, this is one of those songs where it feels like they're like just kind of throwing parts at the wall, you know? It's like it's not quite as consistent as like some of the heavy hitters on the album.
That verse just doesn't what?
It it's not quite as like well put together as some of the heavy hitters on the album.
I would agree. It's like I'm trying to look up the lyrics now. Like I made it a note in when I was like listening to this album a couple times. One of my notes is like the structure is great and a great upbeat song, but I think it needs to be remastered. And I think a lot of the songs in the second half of this record, I make that same note. Like everything just needs to be remastered, reworked in some sort of like capacity. Not rewritten, I think. Although this song is like, it's good. It's just not, it's a little bit clumsy in some of like the presentation of it.
Yeah. But the last line is repeated 4 times, and it's like even when this band kind of swings and misses, like they don't miss entirely. The last line is repeated 4 times. It's walk home single, seeing double.
Yeah.
Which like, I'm not sure you've really had this experience because you're going on 5 years in your relationship.
Mm-hmm.
But like being single and like going out to the bar just to go out and then having a couple too many and walking home single, seeing double, like there are very specific sensory memories that come up, I'm sure for a lot of people, myself included, where you hear that and you're like, oh yeah, like I know that feeling.
Yeah, I can't. Unfortunately, I can't relate. Well, actually, probably not unfortunate. Probably, like, fortunately, I can't relate.
I was going to say, what a charmed life you lead, Dan.
Yeah, I'm so privileged, man. Sorry, guys. But I need that last line right there. I remember how does it go? Like, it goes, like, they say, like, they start one part of the sentence and then finish it in, like, a different way. And, like, that, for whatever reason, kind of annoyed me a lot. You know what I'm talking about?
I think so, yeah. Is it when they repeat these days you'll find me where the nectar's plenty, looks are cheap and the talk is heavy?
No, then we fell asleep, I think. That's what the line, maybe. It was like part of the
first. Yeah, you said you wanted to be interesting and then you fell asleep.
Yeah.
Said we wanted to be interesting and then we fell asleep. So yeah, Sculptors and Vandals, solid breakup song.
Yeah.
Or just like single and sad song.
Yeah, single, sad, drinking in a bar. And then
I feel attacked.
And then we get to Mexican guitars.
Which is such a cool idea for a song. It's not one of my favorites on the album, but I really like...
I like the idea of
it.
Like it just brings me back to being a teenager and like I literally have like a Mexican jazz bass, like Fender jazz bass.
Yep.
And
like that idea of having the cheap guitars that you always start out on the cheap guitars, and a lot of times the only instruments you can afford are the like foreign made ones and things like that, and using that as like a metaphor for like old friendships and things like that is really kind of cool.
Yeah, like it kind of brought me back to hanging out, kind of like jamming with my friends back in like high school or like middle school or whatever, and playing literally our Mexican guitars.
Exactly. And references to like the bad tattoos of all the bands you loved in high school, the ones you said that I had to listen to all the time.
Because we all knew somebody in high school that was like, yo, bro, you have to listen to this band, and like kept giving you like bands to listen to, and you just were like, oh man, this is so sick, so cool. And then by the time like now you're like 24, 25 and you're like, yeah, I'm not into that band anymore, but I have that shitty tattoo.
It was always the guy with the black flag tattoos.
Really?
They always had the bars somewhere.
I always wanted the black flag bars, but I've thank God I didn't get them. Kids at home or just anyone in general, don't get band tattoos because they're usually a bad idea.
It's true.
They will break your heart. Just like
every time.
Just like we break your heart. Every week on Thursday mornings, breaking your heart. Heartbreaker City.
Breaking hearts with the Packy Run.
And then we got On the Impossible Pass, the name of the record, which at first, like my first initial listen to this, I put it as a filler song. I was like, this is a filler song, blah, blah. Like I was like writing all these notes, and then by the time the end of the song hits, it's like one of the lines that they say is, "We always dreamt of having nice things, having nice things." And then it smooth transition into the very next song, which coincidentally is called "Nice Things."
Yeah. So the song On the Impossible Past is just kind of like an interlude kind of thing.
Yeah.
And it's interesting because it serves the purpose of like an intro track. Like it's short and it's sweet and it kind of just like touches on the lyrical themes of the entire album.
Yeah.
Like it tells its own little short self-contained story of like, here's what you're getting into, but they put it like 3/4 of the way through the album, and it serves as kind of a nice transition in that way. But you're right, like it's not my favorite song that the band has ever done, and it does kind of feel just like an unfinished idea.
I mean, it's a transition song. It's not. I thought it was filler, and like I was like, oh, come on, guys, like really a filler song? Like I was like, I forgot about that song, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
Like I've listened to this record a lot, but now that like I was like reading the lyrics and I was like listening to it, I'm like, oh, okay, it's more of a we're transitioning, and I think it transitions very nicely to the next song.
Yeah, and the next song, Nice Things, is like classic, like more of a classic punk rock kind of thing, which is really, it's one of the high marks of the album, I think. Like even just the opening verse, the western wall is a jumbo screen. At the gate, there's an automated teller machine. Sir, empty your pockets, please, before you file through. The king and queen foreclosed on their crowns. The Joker laughed and made his rounds. He was drunk, carrying on, self-satisfied. It's such like a classic, like, punk rock band looking at like Western capitalism and feeling like lost and a little bit angry at how that tends to like screw with the youth.
Yeah.
And that's like, so the theme of the song is really cool, and it's kind of where the band shows that like, hey, we're not just some like catchy upstart emo band here. Like we can also play with like the punk guys.
Yeah, which they can. One of the things I took away from this was like it kind of describes these nice things that a normal person would want in any other circumstance. Like don't you think like gold is good? Don't you want to be rich? Don't you want to like dreaming their dreams? Has your name become known and desired? Like kind of like, are you famous at this point? Like, isn't that like a nice thing that you would want that to happen?
Yeah, I love that line. Is your gold so strangely acquired? Like that idea, that like very definitively American idea of like individualism. Mm-hmm. And in like sometimes that kind of manifests itself in people wanting to make it seem like, well, I was able to make my money. I was able to, you know, live my American dream in such a unique way. And like, aren't I so cool? And it's funny. It's a funny kind of turn of phrase there, because the people that, I think a lot of the people that do that, yeah, are like, they do it in the most boring way, but they try to hype themselves up. Like it's like the stockbroker, like Wall Street bro, who's always sitting back and being like, look at how much money I have. Look at how much of a baller I am. It's like, well, what did you do to earn that money? Like, how did you earn your gold? Oh, you're a stockbroker? Cool.
Right. Exactly. And kind of what they say, like they say this twice, like, do you want nice things? Sure you do. You call nice things your own.
Yeah, I like the way, even in the lyric booklet,
or do you,
and the CD and the vinyl and everything.
Do you want to feel safe? Is wanting these good things like safe at the end of the day?
Yeah. I like how so many of the lines in this song are questions, like not outright like you're wrong or fuck yous. So much of it is just like, really?
It's like questioning like the morality and like, is this actually like a good thing that you're kind of, in a sense, like screwing over these people that have no control? Like, yeah. Do you feel good about it? Like, do you feel good being famous, but also screwing over your best friend or something like that at the very end? Which they don't say that outright, but like it's up to like that kind of interpretation of it.
Yeah. And it's never, and again, it's all questions, which is one of the cool ways that they deal with that kind of topic where it's not like it's not the traditional in your face punk rock, just like fuck you, I don't need your lifestyle or whatever. It's like questioning, it's seeking to understand of like, do you really want all the shit that you've like gathered to make yourself feel good and look good and everything else? Like, do you really want that?
Yeah.
It's a questioning kind of thing, as opposed to just an outright like dismissal, which I think is a really interesting way to attack that kind of criticism in a punk rock song.
I think it's one of the stronger tracks on this record for that kind of reasoning.
And followed by what most people think is the strongest track on the record.
That's not my favorite song on this record, though. We haven't even touched my favorite song on this record.
Really?
Yeah.
Because I think Casey it might be tied for my favorite song on the record. Casey it's the very like, this is where the hyper specifics kind of come in. It's less of the painting with a broad brush and more of like it's a movie condensed into like a 3-minute song.
It kind of is.
Like the idea, and they've done this more than a couple of times, and it's almost always in their like relationship centric songs, but they do a really good job of just like, you can see in your mind's eye like the movie that they're trying to produce with these songs. Just like every line of this song like really does paint a really nice picture, even if the structure of the song, kind of like we touched on earlier, feels a little bit pieced together. Like the actual narrative here is what really kind of sets it over the edge.
Yeah. I also love the fact that they mention one of my favorite activities, which is drunk washing dishes.
Drunk dishes and drunk laundry.
Yeah.
The Dan Mayotte novel.
Yeah. Which, I mean, maybe they came up with it. Maybe they created it.
Yeah, I mean, and I have searched forever and ever to try and find the original version of this song that Dan Zazeski wrote, that the Menzingers used as the chorus. I've tried to find the original and I just can't, which is such a bummer. But yeah, the chorus, me and Casey, we used to get drunk before we did the dishes every evening. Me and Casey, we used to get high and listen to our boredom because it was so much easier than dealing with everything. Like, just this side of deadbeat millennial sadness, living with your girlfriend and dealing
like
with your better demons.
Yeah.
Like
it's easier to just... What?
It's easier to just, drown out the sorrows, I guess.
Yeah. I mean, that about summarizes it.
Yeah, which it paints such a sad picture, but it's like the actual execution it's got a couple of faults, but the actual execution is done so well that, man, it's a hit.
It definitely is. It's one of my favorite songs on this record for sure.
And it leads into I Can't Seem to Tell, the second to last song,
which is my favorite song on this record.
Do tell.
I love the bounciness of it. It's a very bouncy song, and I can't get enough of those bouncy riffs. The bass is not lost in the mix. It's lost when the guitars come in every single time. But I like the little... But
it has its place.
It has its place. And like my thing about every single record, bass plays a key role into whether an album makes it a good album or a great album. This is
spoken like a true bass player.
No, well, like it's true though. Like
I agree.
I think bass makes a huge difference in whether a song is good or like whether a album is good or not. To me, and we'll probably go into our ranking system or ranking how we would rate this album in 2020 at the end. Yeah. But like, I wouldn't call this a great album. It's a good album, but I love this song because you can finally hear the bass. To me, it's the most balanced song out of the whole record. Lyrically, as well as structure, mix, riffs, and also like repetitiveness. I think it has a good mix of it all. I think it's the most the balanced.
And I love the recurring theme in Menzingers songs of just like semi-intoxicated millennial sadness.
I love that. Like, remember the days when I had a conscience? Yeah, me neither. Like, I think that, to me, I think that's so funny.
Yeah, it's so like, and it's delivered in such like that deadpan way too.
It's like
it's got that millennial like trying so hard not to care that you end up showing that you care.
Yeah.
Or just the I can't seem to tell if it's my head or the earth that's spinning around.
I think it's a great...
Which, again, the like sensory memories, and I'm sure at some point we'll get to maybe another Menzingers album, because they've got a couple of them where like I hear these songs and I'm immediately just like, there's hyper specific moments that I'm brought right back to.
Yeah, it like puts you. It's like, oh crap! Like I remember, like there are those moments with me as well. Like especially like some of these records, I'm like, oh crap! Like that brings me back to that moment in time.
Yeah, the I can't seem to tell if it's my head or the earth that's spinning around is just like anybody who's ever had more than a bit too much to drink knows.
Yeah,
like. You know that exact feeling when you're lying in bed and you're just like, I don't want to do this anymore.
Yeah, and it just sucks. But I mean, like, it's just about drinking and like trying to self-loathing in a way.
Drinking and self-loathing, but drinking and self-loathing while you're like thinking.
Yeah.
Like drinking and self-loathing as a reaction to things going on in your life and the world and things like that. And I think that's why the Menzingers get away with using those kind of themes so many times, is because it's not a celebration of that overindulgence. It's like it's realizing that it kind of comes with the territory sometimes.
Yeah.
Like it's a really smart way that they go about it, which is, I think, what endears them to so many people.
And then finally, we have Freedom Bridge,
which is probably the opening verse is probably the best example of like, oh, they're doing that like Bruce Springsteen, everyman, like working class, painting a picture while talking about, you know.
I feel like this is the
painting a picture while talking about characters.
I feel like it's the one song that doesn't fit with the rest of the album at all.
I would agree with that. It doesn't really fit the rest of the album as a whole, but it's a really good like it serves as a really nice mile marker. It's like being at the end of the album and being able to see that like, okay, lyrically this band has some other avenues that they're going to go down in the future, but because it would, if they rewrote a couple of parts and re-recorded this song, they could have put it on either of their last two albums.
Yeah,
but in the context of On the Impossible Past, it does kind of feel like a weird outlier at the end. Like if you had heard this song at the end of the album in 2012 without any guarantee that there were going to be more Menzingers albums, it would feel a little bit out of place.
I guess, yeah, I would agree with that. It makes more sense now listening to it in 2020, but like, and also like, I didn't listen to this album in 2012. But if I was listening to it in 2012, I'd be like, that song just doesn't fit. But I still don't think it like fits necessarily.
Yeah. It also touches on a little bit more of that like political kind of bent with that second verse. Like, Specialist Jeg, a much more honest man than you, came back from the desert where he never found the truth. Now he screeches tires, fills his head with alcohol, and the morbid brown faces hang like portraits on the wall. Like, there's a very specific kind of, it's just presented as storytelling, but it also reads as kind of critical of like a veteran kind of situation. It's an interesting kind of vignette to put in the middle of this song.
Yeah, it does. And like they have like all sorts of, they have like different stories that are kind of like that. Like McTiernan was a good old boy. He cheated and he skimmed. A favor for a favor it can't be called a sin. Some may see it different, and some don't see it. Some don't see at all. Papers start calling. He closed his eyes and took the fall, which I think is like what?
It's like. It's not my favorite song on the album by a long shot, but I do really like kind of just hitting those different perspectives. And again, like you can see the movie that they're trying to create in your head.
Right.
Of like the different people that are all kind of in the same area, they're all living in the same town and stuff, but you get those different kind of perspectives.
Yeah, you definitely see that a little bit. I don't know, like this song I could take or leave. Like I think 12 songs, I mean this is the 13th song on it. I think they could have done without it.
Yeah, they could have done, I agree, they probably could have done without it.
Put it out on like an extended release, maybe.
Yeah, treat it as like a bonus track kind of deal. But then you would have been dealing with what, like a 37-minute album. So I feel like I understand why it's there. But yeah, it definitely doesn't feel like it has the same energy as the 12 songs before it. It doesn't feel like part of that kind of cohesive unit, but I like it on its own merits, but in the context of the album, it's you could take it or leave it.
All right, rating this album from 1 to 10, 1 being the worst, 10 being the best. How would you rate this album?
I think it's easy for me. It's probably a 9.5. You know, it's not perfect, but it's pretty close. There's a couple of things from some of the production things, some of the actual like structure of the songs and stuff like that, where if it had been tweaked a little, it really would have been. It's a masterpiece in the context of the Menzingers and in their particular like brand of music. But
absolutely,
as far as all of music is concerned, yeah, there's a couple of things that hold it back from being maybe as like widespread as it might have been able to be, especially if you took this album the way that it is and released it 20 years earlier. If this album had come out in like 1993, it would have been just insane how big it would have been.
I would agree with that. I mean, at that point, nobody had seen kind of like Bruce Springsteen and punk kind of come together. I mean, we saw it with like the Gaslight Anthem. They were like kind of, and I'm sure the Gaslight Anthem are not the first band to do it, but they were like kind of the first band that kind of was like, what if we took punk music and Bruce Springsteen and brought it together?
Yeah.
And the Menzingers are kind of like, they're like, okay, what if we take Gaslight Anthem, but have more shouty and punky parts to it?
Yeah, what if we were better what if we did that formula, but we were better as a punk band than like aiming for radio?
Right.
And that's why this album has had the success that it's had, because it's not, there's no part of this that ever comes across as like cloying. Like they're never trying to reach like the big radio audience there. It's very honest and like forthright in what it is.
It feels,
which is cool,
very authentic, and it doesn't feel like they're trying to, because I feel like with a lot of punk bands, they're trying to fit into this bubble, and they don't. Yeah. They're like talking about all these things, but they don't really know what it's like to actually be in a dirty basement, going to like basement shows. They don't know like going to like a bar and like being rejected by that girl. They don't know about that stuff, but yet they still write about those themes in it. Like you could tell the Menzingers definitely have experience with those sort of like experiences and can present them in a great way.
Yeah. So yeah, my answer to that would be probably 9.5 out of 10. For sure.
Okay. I mean, I gotta knock it off a few points. I'm gonna give it an 8.5. Solid.
That's fair.
Solid score here. I think there were just some parts of like production that just like I was like, I can't deal with that. There were like a couple songs here and there that like I could like take or leave.
Yeah.
I do think, and like there is a good quote about this record. I think it was from Absolute Punk, where somebody described it as this album has no expiration date. And I would agree with that. I think it is a timeless punk record, but I there's a couple things I have like but it is a good record.
Yeah, and that's one of those things, is that it's just like everything is a product of its time. So like I think
absolutely, I mean,
timeless is a perfect and also the worst way to describe it. Because yeah, this could have come out in the early 90s or the early 2000s, or it could have come out today or in 2012 when it came out. Like it works in a lot of different time periods, but also like part of the reason why it's regarded so well is because, this sounds like a band that just got signed to Epitaph in 2012.
And it's not dated. There's definitely a lot of punk bands out there, like especially from 2012. That's like you could listen to that album back and be like, ugh, that's dated. This doesn't sound dated to me. This could be this could be released today, and I would be like, oh, sick, this is awesome, like good record.
Yeah.
But 8.5. So like, does it hold up? I think we can unanimously say yes, it does hold up after further analyzing and looking into this record.
Yeah. And I think we lobbed ourselves a little bit of a softball for this one for sure. But it was a nice way to test out what the format would look like and stuff. And I like it.
Yeah.
We should continue doing this.
We will continue doing this. Don't know what record we should do next week, but maybe we'll come up with a list of 5 that we potentially want to, and we'll have like a Twitter poll or Instagram poll for you guys to pick out and help us with.
Hit us on social medias at PackyRunPod on Instagram and Twitter.
Yes. Do you want to do some recommendations this week? Or we've been recording for like 2 hours at this point?
Yeah. We can do some quick recommendations.
I got mine.
Mine is pretty simple. Casey Neistat, big YouTuber. He used to have a daily vlog that he did for, I think it was like 600 episodes straight.
Yeah.
Every day. And then he stopped doing the vlog for a while. He's done some one-off videos and things like that, but he is back to kind of doing the daily vlog thing. So to celebrate, I started the vlog from the beginning, and kind of similar to what we were talking about with the Menzingers. I really appreciate things that are authentic when it's people's, like when it's your own voice and it really comes across as just like you're doing a thing that you love to do. And that's very much the vibe that you get from Casey Neistat, where it's just, he just does like little 8-minute day in the life kind of videos while he was starting companies and riding motorized skateboards through New York City and stuff. And, you know, it's everything. I had this thought last night as I was watching it, like Casey's vlog is what reality TV like really could have been. Like, I think there was a moment in time in like the late 90s, early 2000s where like you could have had like full length television episodes of something like this if we had the technology, and it could have been huge, and it would have been, I think, a lot better for the culture as a whole to have something like that on cable TV than, you know, most of the reality shows that are the farthest thing from reality.
Yeah, that's fair.
So big on Casey Neistat. Go follow him on YouTube. I'm sure a lot of you already do. But if you haven't checked it out, now's a good time.
Big YouTuber. I love Casey Neistat. He always has a lot of good videos out there in the world.
True.
My recommendation, I mentioned it earlier, Sweet Maria's coffee. Check it out. $20 to roast your own coffee beans. So you're interested and have some time on your hands, look into doing that. And
we know you do.
I mean, you probably do. I mean, like, it takes no time at all.
That's awesome. I might have to try that. I might have to try roasting my own beans.
Dude, it's fun.
All right. Well, I think that's this week's episode of the Packy Run. It's gonna be a long one, even once I whittle it down. But this has been good.
Yeah, it's a long boy.
I'm liking. Yeah, I like the does it hold up kind of bent. So thank you to Mike Daly and Bart Devin from the Daily Screening, who I completely and totally stole this idea from.
Well, I suggested it as well.
That's true. That is true.
Yeah.
But calling it Does It Hold Up absolutely came from them, and we're just, we're gunning for them. Everybody's got a podcast now, so we got to have a little bit of competition. We got to thin out the herd. Which I'm sure if Bart ever hears this, he'll have some smart ass comment about that.
Hey, remember, guys, I just want to make sure that if they hear, he picked Nomar for his Mount Rushmore.
I don't need the heat, Dad.
That's a meme on this podcast.
When did I become the meme one?
I don't know, but we will be back next week. Make sure to follow us on Patriots Pod on Twitter and Instagram, and also participate in our poll for our upcoming, what we're going to do next week for Does It Hold Up?
True. We'll talk to you guys next week.
Take it easy.
Bye-bye. Oh, that wrong space bar.